Come,
Get up. Up.
Come on, up you get. Good boy.
Oh, I love Steph.
He's been around the world. He was born in England. We actually picked him up in Tamworth. He's getting a bit restless now, but he's been great for us. Oh, you bored already, mate?
Yeah, he's like, this is boring.
It was a decision to come to Australia after playing in America, playing in Scotland, and I wanted to travel the world, so I thought, you know, Jamie Maclaren had said to me, come to Australia. It's happening here and you'll enjoy it. So I went to Canberra and played there for 6 years for Canberra City. You know, yeah, it was a good time. And then obviously I moved to Melbourne and played for George Cross in the old National League. And the kids weren't old enough to watch me play at that stage. They only got to see me when they were probably 2 or 3 and I was just starting my player coaching career at Sunbury. And
so basically we couldn't slag him, he could slag us.
That's right, so I'm the biggest fan and the biggest critic.
Dad almost threw us to the wolves because there was no coaches that knew anything about the game, and I guess that's no disrespect to the coaches. They had a heart of gold, but they knew nothing, and we were taking advice from him, who was just a parent on the side with oranges. They got to a point where me and Donnie were, in a way, the elite, too good for the region, and we had to move on to go to Green Gully, but the connection that me and him had was just second to none, to be fair. And you know, there'd be games where I would score 5 and he would score 5, and a super combination, if you want to call it. And every time we'd be on the way home, Mr. Genius over here would always say,
Mr. Magoo,
you should have scored 10 each.
Who was a better player out of Donnie and Jamie?
That's an easy question. Donnie.
And
I mean that because I know you know the truth. Naturally gifted, naturally talented, and Jim just had to work for it. But
it's undisputed. It's not even like
correct.
It's not even one person will say that I was better. It was clear. Yeah. It was clear as day. I had to work for the ability, but
I think that's why you are where you are.
Donnie's sitting over there all humble.
No, I disagree with that. Technically, okay, yes, but there's other aspects that I didn't have, which he had.
Oh, that's spoken like a true twin. I love
but that was power and pace at the time.
That stood out
Exactly.
what I was doing.
And that's right, but you know,
he'd have
and that's why I
Johnny Warren
separated you. He was a lot quicker, faster, stronger, right? And that big head, so he had to go first to play at a higher level.
I just remember the dribbling video, the juggling video.
Dad's laughing at us juggling. It's like,
I still laugh at him juggle to this day.
Donnie, no problem, up, down, whatever. Jim.
I can't juggle. I can't juggle the ball.
To this day,
I got a promos,
toe.
and his parents are like, can you show my kid the trick? I'm like, love, I can't even do 5 juggles. I don't know.
he still can't.
I can take a penalty for you. I won't juggle.
I remember we were in, during COVID in one of the lockdowns, we went to the park and we were playing with the ball with Simba, and he couldn't get 4 in. I swear to God, I was like, what is this?
She's not lying. I swear to God.
Oh.
It must have been pretty challenging with, the young man going overseas, being
I think
like
it was
15, 16.
It was pretty tough.
Oh, it was tough.
So how it pans out is this: he's at the VIS, he's banging in goals left, right, and centre. He's ready for it. If you remember, your Uncle Ross was the chief scout for Aston Villa, and I said, Jamie's ready. Get something organised with Villa and whoever else. So I knew that you had to go, and I knew you weren't coming back. So one of the clubs that came in before he was going to go overseas and start with Villa, Toby Parsons said, would you mind sending him to Blackburn?
But the week before that, I scored for Victory Youth, do you remember?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes,
so
I did too.
Wow.
was Mehmet was the coach?
Mehmet was the coach.
Mehmet was the coach.
Aziz was playing.
Wasn't Jackson there?
Yeah.
Jackson.
It was, we played against Altona Magic, and Victory Youth just played 1 game, but
What a club, by the way. Just
Mehmet spoke to Dad after the game and said, look, obviously we want Jamie to stay, but Dad said, thanks for the game time, but he's off.
He's off,
basically. Yeah.
So my brother wasn't very happy because he wanted him to go to Villa. And Villa were saying, when's this kid coming?
It was tough for me too, because I was a Villa fan.
A Villa fan, that's right.
It was tough for me, but I remember being pulled in the office and Phil Cannon just said, look, the offer's on the table, call your dad, and if you decide to go to Villa, then we're taking it off the table. So we ended up chatting for 2 minutes, wasn't it? It was like, Dad, the offer's on the table, and At that time, Blackburn were sitting 7th in the Premier League. Sam Allardyce was gaffer.
Yeah,
It felt
lovely,
it felt natural. It felt right.
Yeah.
I felt like Villa at that time was just an emotional decision rather than being a smart one. But having said that, always hindsight, you never know what will happen.
But I mean, you can't knock back life experiences, and that's what it was. You know, you go and train with the Scotland under-19s, you go and play in Norway. You know, so the experience of doing that for a young Aussie kid from Sunbury is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you can't take that experience away. It's something in life you can talk about, and just relate to people.
That's when you went to top of the charts in Grandad's eyes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Bypassed all of us.
I'll never change it. I'll never regret saying yes to Scotland because I met some great people, had some great laughs. And you know what? It helped me when I went to Hibs. It helped me massively because I was respected almost instantly from players that I played with, played against. Then Jackson Irvine got called up for Scotland, and he had to do the same thing and basically say to Scotland, "Thanks for the appearances, but we're green and gold. It's in our blood. It's in our DNA. It feels right." So
how come you didn't play for Malta? Let's go.
well, no, I rocked up to training at Brisbane, and John pulled me and said, "Mate, we've been contacted by the Maltese Federation to play against. I think it was Germany and Cyprus." But he said, "Look, Macca, like I'll be honest with you, we're going to decline it, and I wanted to speak to you, but we're going to decline it because I've had conversations with Ange, and Ange is going to select you." I think at that time I'd had like 13 or 14 goals, and in the A-League, and that was my first season at Brisbane. And he said, "Look, come on, you're going to play for Australia." And but yeah, that's a little funny little story that Malta wanted to call me up for those games.
Bending one around. What a ball that is! Jamie Maclaren! That's a stunning goal from the Perth Glory.
I know, Macca, you were pretty excited, obviously, to sign for Perth Glory, your first senior professional contract in Australia, but I reckon there's another person that might be even happier that...
Yeah, I think I'd like to say he signed a better contract in Perth, and that would be me.
She's not wrong.
Lifetime deal, that type of thing.
I thought I was going to go to Perth and settle down and just focus on football, but I met her within the first week.
Literally.
Just like I did with you.
And I will say, a month later, he did say he loved me. So there must be like a little...
This is a football chat.
I know, but I'm just giving the secrets out, babe. Yeah.
And it must be
the
said
rest
as
was
well,
history.
don't forget, Alistair Edwards, he must have known, say, 6 months prior that he was getting the Perth job because he used to always pop into Blackburn training to see Jamie and catch up. So he was in his ear.
Yeah, I'd always got along with Ali, and we still keep in touch to this day. Like it's
Good guy.
Alistair was one of the coaches that really gave me the time of day and obviously the faith that he did.
But I think for us as a family, like to have you back home,
home.
even though it was still far, but you were home for us.
Yeah.
Like
It's because the time difference.
yeah, and I think we were always like I remember Donnie, you and I would jump on a plane, we'd go to Perth.
Well, Victory didn't want me, Dad. True.
Oh, here we go.
So let's be
We're
honest.
just putting
Hang
this
on,
out there
hang
now.
on.
No, it might as well be open and honest. Victory didn't want me.
By all means,
So
because they had the real
McLaren,
original
yeah.
McLaren.
Wait, were you working for them at that point?
No,
No,
but
I just even-
it wasn't even there yet.
they were waiting.
No, look.
So the background is this.
That's all right. But
I was across at Blackburn Rovers and I was having a heart-to-heart with Gary Boyer.
Yeah.
And Gary's going, listen, he's done great, he's done fantastic, but he can't get in the team, as in the first team. He goes,
The amount of strikers I had in front of me was Franco Di Santo.
so he goes,
It was Nicola Kalinic. Like I had that many ahead of me, but it was a joy to train with him every day.
Yeah.
I gave Timmers a DVD of all Jamie's goals over the last couple of years at Blackburn. I said, Timmers, giving you first bite of the cherry. Okay? I know what's going to happen. It's 4 or 5 months out. Have a look. Be great to have him home. But to be honest, they had Archie Thompson at the time, and Archie was banging in goals left, right and centre, and Ange maybe didn't fancy you, maybe he did, who knows, and it didn't happen. So Alistair won the race, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
In comes Eva.
Here comes Eva.
Yeah, at that time, I'd been released by Glory through the PFA, and that was a period that was pretty difficult. I remember sitting in Sunbury, just going through just some legal stuff to get out, and yeah, Johnny was really good. He was phoning me nearly every day, just saying, what have you made your decision yet? And he goes, look, I promise you're going to play. I'm going to give you the minutes you need. And I was off the back of scoring 11 goals in all competitions off the bench for Perth, and I felt like at the time, you know what, I'm going to go to a very, very good Brisbane team, and the way that all the history that they had the last few years, winning championships, and that I was going to score goals. And yeah, it was an easy decision to go to Brisbane. To be fair,
Glory were on the decline. Brisbane Roar had just had the Ange Postecoglou era,
Yes.
right? And they were matured and experienced. Thomas Broich, Matt Mackay, what a great team. So, and I knew when he went there he would score tons of goals.
To move overseas, exciting, but
Yeah.
proved to be a pretty challenging time.
You moved before me, like maybe 4 or 5 months before I did. He was settling in, finding his feet, learning the language a little bit, and I think like you found some good friends there, and it was like a good time. But I think football-wise, it was a bit of a hurdle. But yeah, and then we got engaged, and we went to Italy, and you got down on one knee. So we had the highs and the lows. It was a bit of both. But and I'm sure you can say you probably wouldn't change any aspect of your football career because it's kind of got you to where you are now.
Yeah.
So as much as it was a struggle, it was also a learning curve.
yeah, Germany just made me find that inner sort of beast again, to not put myself in a position where, I would find myself at rock bottom or hate football in that way. But then, you always get a silver lining. I had the World Cup towards the end of the year, and I remember speaking to Neil Lennon in December, and he just said, look, I want you to come to Hibs and score goals for me. I need goals. And then, we had 2 meetings with Hearts and Hibs, and Hibs struck. And basically, the rest is history, and love the Highbies now. What you think it's going to be to what it is going to be are 2 different things. And when you go over for the second time, you think, okay, well, you know what, I've done the younger age. I've done from 15 to 19, resilient. I understand it. At that time at Blackburn, couldn't break in because it probably wasn't good enough, big enough, strong enough, for whatever reason, to play in the championship. And then going over back to go into Europe, we knocked back a few championship clubs at the time to choose Germany. It was a route that we kind of discussed, and I always like to be out of my comfort zone. It's just who I am. I like sometimes fresh change, and I always knew I was good enough. If I had played up front in Germany, I would have scored goals. I know that. But when things aren't going well, it's always like you feel like you're letting people down, and that's the worst part of probably being a footballer. Is I can take the shit, but it's all the stuff around that you feel like you're affecting, when you're not, but you feel like you're letting your family down, your wife. It's like you feel like you're letting the ones closest to you who have seen the journey, like you're letting them down. It's just a natural instinct from a player's perspective.
Just like your niece asked you the other day on the train.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was
a humbling experience.
That was brutal.
Three years of age, and she's saying, "Why didn't you score?"
She didn't hear that from me. That was just what came out of.
You can troll me on Instagram all you want, but Amelia trolling me was like, she made me feel like the worst footballer in the world.
She's only 3.
Yeah.
I was about to say, you go and show me how to score.
She would. She'd juggle more than you, that's for sure.
It was an easy one to come back to Melbourne. Melbourne were really pressing. They wouldn't say desperate, but they knew that I would bring an instant goals, which is what they needed at the time. They were sitting 6th or 7th and had a very, very good squad with, obviously Jamo was there, Dean Bazanis, Bart Schenkerveld, Richie Delat. The list goes on, but it's those sort of players are too good to be sitting mid-table, and I knew that they would create chances. So it was a long-term deal, and sometimes football doesn't take a backward seat, but I actually chose myself for once, and I just said, you know what, I'm going to make myself happy for a few years. I'll go there. But the minute I landed back in Melbourne, I flicked a switch in my brain, just said, you know what, I'm gonna become the best goal scorer in this league. And having said that, I knew Besart the animal that he was, and I had to be a bigger animal, and that was tough to do, and because no one's as big as him in terms of his mentality, and a huge amount of respect for him. But I knew that in this league, I'm a 20+ goal season striker with the right service, and Melbourne City was the perfect fit. And people probably laughed when I signed and said, why is he coming back? Well, that's why I'm coming back, because I'm on the brink of something special, and to have the support that I've got is huge. And it's going to be something for the ages, because good luck to the next guy trying to catch me, because
wherever you are, wherever you are.
Yeah.
And again, as well, you look at the record that you're going to potentially beat. Even the guys before, you know, the guys that I played against, Cosmina, Gary Cole,
Rooster, Rod
Brown. Some great players in there, you know. Marshall Soper,
yeah.
You know, good players, good goal scorers, you know, and you've surpassed them. So it's an achievement and a half, you know. I've got to say.
Bobby Despotovsky, I
Yep.
still
He
speak
was
to
my
him.
idol,
Spoke to him
yeah.
last week, actually, yeah. Yeah, and obviously I want to pay respect to the NSL because I think that given the fact that my history, the Maclaren name started from him, not from me, and that's where the NSL comes in and the respect for someone like Damien Murray who scored goals in the NSL and he's got 240 goals and you know, but that was a different era, that was a different league, and he's number one in that list. If the record is broken by myself, then I still want to pay respect to the ones that were before me because this game in Australia is built on history and you know, it's in the blood. He's done it. He's played over 200 games in the league. So
250.
Oh, sorry. We got it wrong there.